Słuchajcie, tu wasz ulubiony menel na... Witam was, słuchajcie, tu wasz ulubiony menel na YouTubie. Dlatego dzisiaj lecimy, żeby skończyć tą książkę właściwie. Lecimy z tym głównym. I musimy się mierzyć z tym. Dobra, let's go. Dzisiaj
As they age, animals die. If they get sick or slow down, something stronger kills them. Animals aren't meant to get old. Marla lies down on her bed and undoes the tie on her bathrobe and says, "Our culture has made death something wrong. Old animals should be an unnatural exception. Freaks." Marla's cold and sweating while I tell her how in college I had a wart once. On my penis. Only I say dick. I went to the medical school to have it removed. The wart. Afterwards, I told my father. This was years after, and my dad laughed and told me I was a fool because warts like that are nature's French tickler. Women love them, and God was doing me a favor. Kneeling next to Marla's bed with my hands still cold from outside, feeling Marla's cold skin a little at a time, rubbing a little of Marla between my fingers every inch. Marla says those warts that are God's French ticklers give women cervical cancer. So, I was sitting on the paper belt in an examining room at the medical school while a medical student sprays a canister of liquid nitrogen on my dick, and 8 medical students watched. This is where you end up if you don't have medical insurance. Only they don't call it a dick, they called it a penis, and whatever you call it, spray it with liquid nitrogen and you might as well burn it with lye, it hurts so bad. Marla laughs at this until she sees my fingers have stopped, like maybe I found something. Marla stops breathing and her stomach goes like a drum, and her heart is like a fist pounding from inside the tight skin of a drum. But no, I stopped because I'm talking, and I stopped because, for a minute, neither of us was in Marla's bedroom. We were in the medical school years ago, sitting on the sticky paper with my dick on fire with liquid nitrogen, when one of the medical students saw my bare feet and left the room fast in 2 big steps. The student came back in behind 3 real doctors, and the doctors elbowed the man with a canister of liquid nitrogen to one side. A real doctor grabbed my bare right foot and hefted it into the face of the other real doctors. The 3 turned it and poked it and took Polaroid pictures of the foot, and it was as if the rest of the person, half dressed with God's gift half frozen, didn't exist. Only the foot, and the rest of the medical students pressed in to see. "How long," a doctor asked, "have you had this red blotch on your foot?" The doctor meant my birthmark. On my right foot is a birthmark that my father jokes looks like a dark red Australia with a little New Zealand right next to it. This is what I told them, and it let all the air out of everything. My dick was thawing out. Everyone except the student with the nitrogen left, and there was the sense that he would have left too. He was so disappointed he never met my eyes as he took the head of my dick and stretched it toward himself. The canister jetted a tiny spray on what was left of the wart. The feeling you could close your eyes and imagine your dick is 100 miles long, and it would still hurt. Marla looks down at my hand and the scar from Tyler's kiss. I said to the medical student, "You must not see a lot of birthmarks around here." "It's not that." The student said everyone thought the birthmark was cancer. There was this new kind of cancer that was getting young men. They wake up with a red spot on their feet or ankles. The spots don't go away, they spread until they cover you, and then you die. The student said the doctors and everyone were so excited because they thought you had this new cancer. Very few people had it yet, but it was spreading. This was years and years ago. Cancer will be like that, I tell Marla. There will be mistakes, and maybe the point is not to forget the rest of yourself if one little part might go bad. Marla says, "Might?" The student with the nitrogen finished up and told me the wart would drop off after a few days. On the sticky paper next to my bare ass was a Polaroid picture of my foot that no one wanted. I said, "Can I have the picture?" I still have the picture in my room, stuck in the corner of a mirror in the frame. I comb my hair in the mirror before work every morning and think how I once had cancer for 10 minutes, worse than cancer. I tell Marla that this Thanksgiving was the first year when my grandfather and I did not go ice skating, even though the ice was almost 6 inches thick. My grandmother always has these little round bandages on her forehead or her arms, where moles she's had her whole life didn't look right. They spread out with fringed edges, or the moles turned from brown to blue or black. When my grandmother got out of the hospital the last time, my grandfather was carrying her suitcase, and it was so heavy he complained that he felt lopsided. My French-Canadian grandmother was so modest that she never wore a swimming suit in public, and she always ran water in the sink to mask any sound she might make in the bathroom. Coming out of Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital after a partial mastectomy, she says, "You feel lopsided?" For my grandfather, that sums up the whole story. My grandmother, cancer, their marriage, your life. He laughs every time he tells us that story. Marla isn't laughing. I want to make her laugh, to warm her up, to make her forgive me for the collagen. I want to tell Marla there's nothing for me to find. If she found anything this morning, it was a mistake, a birthmark. Marla has the scar from Tyler's kiss on the back of her hand. I want to make Marla laugh, so I don't tell her about the last time I hugged Chloe. Chloe without hair, a skeleton dipped in yellow wax with a silk scarf tied around her bald head. I hugged Chloe one last time before she disappeared forever. I told her she looked like a pirate, and she laughed. Me? When I go to the beach, I always sit with my right foot tucked under me. Australia, New Zealand, or I keep it buried in the sand. My fear is that people will see my foot and I'll start to die in their minds. The cancer I don't have is everywhere now. I don't tell Marla that. There are a lot of things we don't want to know about the people we love. To warm her up, to make her laugh, I tell Marla about the woman in Dear Abby who married a handsome, successful mortician, and on their wedding night, he made her soak in a tub of ice water until her skin was freezing to the touch, and then he made her lie in bed completely still while he had intercourse with her cold, inert body. The funny thing is, this woman had done this as a newlywed and gone on to do it for the next 10 years of marriage, and now she was writing to Dear Abby to ask if Abby thought it meant something. This is why I love the support group so much. If people thought you were dying, they gave you their full attention. If this might be the last time they saw you, they really saw you. Everything else about their checkbook balance and radio songs and messy hair went out the window. You had their full attention. People listened instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. And when they spoke, they weren't telling you a story. When the two of you talked, you were building something, and afterward you were both different than before. Marla had started going to the support groups after she found the first lump. The morning after we found her second lump, Marla hopped into the kitchen with both legs in one leg of her pantyhose and said, "Look, I'm a mermaid." Marla said, "This isn't like when guys sit backward on the toilet and pretend it's a motorcycle. This is a genuine accident." Just before Marla and I met at Remaining Men Together, there was the first lump, and now there was a second lump. What you have to know is that Marla is still alive. Marla's philosophy of life, she told me, is that she can die at any moment. The tragedy of her life is that she doesn't. When Marla found the first lump, she went to a clinic where slumped scarecrow mothers sat in plastic chairs on three sides of the waiting room with limp doll children balled in their laps or lying at their feet. The children were sunken and dark around their eyes the way oranges or bananas go bad and collapse, and the mothers scratched at mats or dandruff from scalp yeast infections out of control. The way the teeth in the clinic looked, huge in everyone's thin face, you saw how teeth are just shards of bone that come through your skin to grind things up. This is where you end up if you don't have health insurance. Before anyone knew any better, a lot of gay guys had wanted children, and now the children are sick and the mothers are dying and the fathers are dead, and sitting in the hospital vomit smell of piss and vinegar, while a nurse asks each mother how long she's been sick and how much weight she's lost, and if her child has any living parent or guardian, Marla decides no. If she was going to die, Marla didn't want to know about it. Marla walked around the corner from the clinic to City Laundry and stole all the jeans out of the dryers, then walked to a dealer who gave her $15 a pair. Then Marla bought herself some really good pantyhose, the kind that don't run. Even the good kind that don't run, Marla says, they snag. Nothing is static. Everything is falling apart. Marla started going to the support groups since it was easier to be around other human butt wipe. Everyone has something wrong, and for a while, her heart just sort of flatlined. Marla started a job doing prepaid funeral plans for a mortuary where sometimes great fat men, but usually fat women, would come out of the mortuary showroom carrying a crematory urn the size of an egg cup. And Marla would sit there at her desk in the foyer with her dark hair tied down and her snagged pantyhose and breast lump and doom and say, "Madam, don't flatter yourself. We couldn't even get your burned-up head into that tiny thing. Go back and get an urn the size of a bowling ball." Marla's heart looked the way my face was, the crap and trash of the world. Post-consumer human butt wipe that no one would ever go to the trouble to recycle. Between the support groups and the clinic, Marla told me she had met a lot of people who were dead. These people were dead and on the other side, and at night they called on the telephone. Marla would go to bars and hear the bartender calling her name, and when she took the call, the line was dead. At the time, she thought she was hitting bottom. When you're 24, Marla says, you have no idea how far you can really fall, but I was a fast learner. The first time Marla filled a crematory urn, she didn't wear a face mask, and later she blew her nose, and there in the tissue was a black mess of Mr. Whoever. In the house on Paper Street, if the phone rang only once and you picked it up and the line was dead, you knew it was someone trying to reach Marla. This happened more than you might think. In the house on Paper Street, a police detective started calling about my condominium explosion, and Tyler stood with his chest against my shoulder, whispering into my ear while I held the phone to the other ear, and the detective asked if I knew anyone who could make homemade dynamite. Disaster is a natural part of my evolution, Tyler whispered, toward tragedy and dissolution. I told the detective that it was the refrigerator that blew up my condo. I'm breaking my attachment to physical power and possessions, Tyler whispered, because only through destroying myself can I discover the greater power of my spirit. The dynamite, the detective said, there were impurities, a residue of ammonium oxalate and potassium perchloride that might mean the bomb was homemade, and the deadbolt on the front door was shattered. I said I was in Washington, D.C. that night. The detective on the phone explained how someone had sprayed a canister of Freon into the deadbolt lock and then tapped the lock with a cold chisel to shatter the cylinder. This is the way criminals are stealing bicycles. The liberator who destroys my property, Tyler says, is fighting to save my spirit. The teacher who clears all possessions from my path will set me free. The detective said whoever set the homemade dynamite could have turned on the gas and blown out the pilot light on the stove days before the explosion took place. The gas was just the trigger. It would take days for the gas to fill the condo before it reached the compressor at the base of the refrigerator, and the compressor's electric motor set off the explosion. Tell him, Tyler whispered. Yes, you did it. You blew it all up. That's what he wants to hear. I tell the detective no, I did not leave the gas on and then leave town. I loved my life. I loved that condo. I loved every stick of furniture. That was my whole life. Everything, the lamps, the chairs, the rugs were me. The dishes in the cabinets were me. The plants were me. The television was me. It was me that blew up. Couldn't he see that? The detective said not to leave town. Mr. His Honor, Mr. Chapter President of the local chapter of the National United Projectionist and Independent Theater Operators Union, just sat. Under and behind and inside everything the man took for granted, something horrible had been growing. Nothing is static. Everything is falling apart. I know this because Tyler knows this. For 3 years, Tyler had been doing film build-up and breakdown for a chain of movie houses. A movie travels in 6 or 7 small reels packed in a metal case. Tyler's job was to splice the small reels together into single 5-foot reels that self-threading and rewinding projectors could handle. After 3 years, 7 theaters, at least 3 screens per theater, new shows every week, Tyler had handled hundreds of prints. Too bad, but with more self-threading and rewinding projectors, the union didn't need Tyler anymore. Mr. Chapter President had to call Tyler in for a little sit-down. The work was boring and the pay was crap, so the president of the United Union of United Projection Operators Independent and United Theaters United said it was doing Tyler Durden a chapter favor by giving Tyler the diplomatic shaft. Don't think of this as rejection. Think of it as downsizing. Right up the butt, Mr. Chapter President himself says, "We appreciate your contribution to our success." Oh, that wasn't a problem, Tyler said and grinned. As long as the union kept sending a paycheck, he'd keep his mouth shut. Tyler said, "Think of this as early retirement with pension." Tyler had handled hundreds of prints. Movies had gone back to the distributor. Movies had gone back out in re-release. Comedy, drama, musicals, romance, action-adventure, spliced with Tyler's single-frame flashes of pornography. Sodomy, fellatio, cunnilingus, bondage. Tyler had nothing to lose. Tyler was the pawn of the world, everybody's trash. This is what Tyler rehearsed me to tell the manager of the Pressman Hotel, too. At Tyler's other job at the Pressman Hotel, Tyler said he was nobody. Nobody cared if he lived or died, and the feeling was fucking mutual. This is what Tyler told me to say in the hotel manager's office with security guards sitting outside the door. Tyler and I stayed up late and traded stories after everything was over. Right after he'd gone to the projectionist union, Tyler had me go and confront the manager of the Pressman Hotel. Tyler and I were looking more and more like identical twins. Both of us had punched out cheekbones, and our skin had lost its memory and forgot where to slide back to after we were hit. My bruises were from Fight Club, and Tyler's face was punched out of shape by the president of the projectionist union. After Tyler crawled out of the union offices, I went to see the manager of the Pressman Hotel. I sat there in the office of the manager of the Pressman Hotel. I am Joe's smirking revenge. The first thing the hotel manager said was I had 3 minutes. In the first 30 seconds, I told how I'd been peeing into soup, farting on creme brulees, sneezing on braised endive, and now I wanted the hotel to send me a check every week equivalent to my average week's pay plus tips. In return, I wouldn't come to work anymore, and I wouldn't go to the newspapers or the public health people with a confused, tearful confession. The headlines, "Troubled waiter admits tainting food." Sure, I said, I might go to prison. They could hang me and yank my nuts off and drag me through the streets and flay my skin and burn me with lye. But the Pressman Hotel would always be known as the hotel where the richest people in the world ate pee. Tyler's words coming out of my mouth. And I used to be such a nice person. At the projectionist union office, Tyler had laughed after the union president punched him. The one punch knocked Tyler out of his chair, and Tyler sat against the wall laughing. "Go ahead. You can't kill me," Tyler was laughing. "You stupid fuck. Beat the crap out of me, but you can't kill me. You have too much to lose. I have nothing. You have everything. Go ahead. Right in the gut. Take another shot at my face. Cave in my teeth, but keep those paychecks coming. Crack my ribs, but if you miss 1 week's pay, I go public, and you and your little union go down under lawsuits from every theater owner and film distributor and mommy whose kid maybe saw a hard-on in Bambi." "I am trash," Tyler said. "I am trash and shit and crazy to you and this whole fucking world," Tyler said to the union president. "You don't care where I live or how I feel or what I eat or how I feed my kids or how I pay the doctor if I get sick. And yes, I am stupid and bored and weak, but I am still your responsibility." Sitting in the office at the Pressman Hotel, my Fight Club lips were still split into about 10 segments. The butthole in my cheek looking at the manager of the Pressman Hotel, it was all pretty convincing. Basically, I said the same stuff Tyler said. After the union president had slugged Tyler to the floor, after Mr. President saw Tyler wasn't fighting back, His Honor with his big Cadillac body bigger and stronger than he would ever really need, His Honor hauled his wingtip back and kicked Tyler in the ribs, and Tyler laughed. His Honor shot the wingtip into Tyler's kidneys after Tyler curled into a ball, but Tyler was still laughing. "Get it out," Tyler said. "Trust me, you'll feel a lot better. You'll feel great." In the office of the Pressman Hotel, I asked the hotel manager if I could use his phone, and I dialed the number for the city desk at the newspaper. With the hotel manager watching, I said, "Hello?" I said, "I've committed a terrible crime against humanity as part of a political protest. My protest is over the exploitation of workers in the service industry. If I went to prison, I wouldn't be just an unbalanced peon diddling in the soup. This would have heroic scale. Robin Hood waiter champions have-nots. This would be about a lot more than one hotel and one waiter." The manager of the Pressman Hotel very gently took the receiver out of my hand. The manager said he didn't want me working here anymore, not the way I looked now. I'm standing at the head of the manager's desk when I say, "What? You don't like the idea of this?" And without flinching, still looking at the manager, I roundhouse the fist at the centrifugal force end of my arm and slam fresh blood out of the cracked scabs in my nose. For no reason at all, I remember the night Tyler and I had our first fight. "I want you to hit me as hard as you can." This isn't such a hard punch. I punch myself again. It just looks good, all the blood. But I throw myself back against the wall to make a terrible noise and break the painting that hangs there. The broken glass and frame and the painting of flowers and blood go to the floor with me clowning around. I'm being such a doofus. Blood gets on the carpet, and I reach up and grip monster handprints of blood on the edge of the hotel manager's desk and say, "Please help me." But I start to giggle. "Help me. Please, please don't hit me again." I slip back to the floor and crawl my blood across the carpet. The first word I'm going to say is, "Please," so I keep my lips shut. The monster drags itself across the lovely bouquets and garlands of the oriental carpet. The blood falls out of my nose and slides down the back of my throat and into my mouth, hot. The monster crawls across the carpet, hot and picking up the lint and dust sticking to the blood on its claws. And it crawls close enough to grab the manager of the Pressman Hotel around his pinstriped ankle and say it.
Co będziemy
Please.
robić, jaki...
Say it.
Będziemy reagować
Please
na
comes out in a bubble
utwory
of blood. Say it.
Tadeusza Nalepy za naszym
Please.
razem.
And the bubble pops blood all
Tadeusz
over.
Nalepa.
And this is how Tyler was free to start a fight club every night of the week. After this, there were 7 fight clubs. And after that, there were 15 fight clubs. And after that, there were 23 fight clubs, and Tyler wanted more. There was always money coming in. "Please," I asked the manager of the Pressman Hotel, "give me the money." And I giggle again. "Please, and please don't hit me again. You have so much, and I have nothing." And I start to climb my blood up the pinstripe legs of the manager of the Pressman Hotel, who is leaning back hard with his hands on the windowsill behind him, and even his thin lips retreating from his teeth. The monster hooks its bloody claw in the waistband of the manager's pants and pulls itself up to clutch the white starched shirt, and I wrap my bloody hands around the manager's smooth wrists. "Please." I smile big enough to split my lips. There's a struggle as the manager screams and tries to get his hands away from me and my blood and my crushed nose, the filth sticking to the blood on both of us. And right then, at our most excellent moment, the security guards decide to walk in. It's in the newspaper today how somebody broke into offices between the 10th and 15th floors of the Hain Tower and climbed out the office windows and painted the south side of the building with a grinning 5-story mask and set fires so the window at the center of each huge eye blazed huge and alive and inescapable over the city at dawn. In the picture on the front page of the newspaper, the face is an angry pumpkin, Japanese demon, dragon of avarice hanging in the sky, and the smoke is a witch's eyebrows or devil's horns. And people cried with their heads thrown back. What did it mean? And who would do this? And even after the fires were out, the face was still there, and it was worse. The empty eyes seemed to watch everyone in the street, but at the same time were dead. This stuff is in the newspaper more and more. Of course, you read this, and you want to know right away if it was part of Project Mayhem. The newspaper says the police have no real leads. Youth gangs or space aliens, whoever it was, could have died while crawling down ledges and dangling from windowsills with cans of black spray paint. Was it the Mischief Committee or the Arson Committee? The giant face was probably their homework assignment from last week. Tyler would know, but the first rule about Project Mayhem is you don't ask questions about Project Mayhem.
Bruh.
In the Assault Committee of Project Mayhem, this week Tyler says he ran everyone through what it would take to shoot a gun. All a gun does is focus an explosion in one direction. At the last meeting of the Assault Committee, Tyler brought a gun and the yellow pages of the phone book. They meet in the basement where Fight Club meets on Saturday night. Each committee meets on a different night. Arson meets on Monday, Assault on Tuesday, Mischief meets on Wednesday, and Misinformation meets on Thursday. Organized chaos, the bureaucracy of anarchy, you figure it out. Support groups, sort of. So, Tuesday night, the Assault Committee proposed events for the upcoming week, and Tyler read the proposals and gave the committee its homework. By this time next week, each guy on the Assault Committee has to pick a fight where he won't come out a hero, and not in Fight Club. This is harder than it sounds. A man on the street will do anything not to fight. The idea is to take some Joe on the street who's never been in a fight and recruit him. Let him experience winning for the first time in his life. Get him to explode. Give him permission to beat the crap out of you. You can take it. If you win, you screwed up. What we have to do, people, Tyler told the committee, is remind these guys what kind of power they still have. This is Tyler's little pep talk. Then he opened each of the folded squares of paper in the cardboard box in front of him. This is how each committee proposes events for the upcoming week. Write the event on the committee tablet, tear off the sheet, fold it, and put it in the box. Tyler checks out the proposals and throws out any bad ideas. For each idea he throws out, Tyler puts a folded blank into the box. Then everyone in the committee takes a paper out of the box. The way Tyler explained the process to me, if somebody draws a blank, he only has his homework to do that week. If you draw a proposal, then you have to go to the Import Beer Festival this weekend and push over a guy in a chemical toilet. You'll get extra favor if you get beat up for doing this. Or you have to attend the fashion show at the shopping center atrium and throw strawberry gelatin from the mezzanine. If you get arrested, you're off the assault committee. If you laugh, you're off the committee. Nobody knows who draws a proposal, and nobody except Tyler knows what all the proposals are and which are accepted and which proposals he throws in the trash. Later that week, you might read in the newspaper about an unidentified man downtown jumping the driver of a Jaguar convertible and steering the car into a fountain. You have to wonder, was this a committee proposal you could have drawn? The next Tuesday night, you'll be looking around the assault committee meeting under the one light in the black Fight Club basement, and you're still wondering who forced the Jag into the fountain. Who went to the roof of the art museum and sniped paintballs into the sculpture court reception? Who painted the blazing demon mask on the Hain Tower? The night of the Hain Tower assignment, you can picture a team of law clerks and bookkeepers or messengers sneaking into offices where they sat every day. Maybe they were a little drunk, even if it's against the rules in Project Mayhem, and they used passkeys where they could and used spray canisters of Freon to shatter lock cylinders so they could dangle, rappelling against the tower's brick facade, dropping, trusting each other to hold ropes, swinging, risking quick death in offices where every day they felt their lives end 1 hour at a time. The next morning, these same clerks and assistant account reps would be in the crowd with their neatly combed heads thrown back, rummy without sleep, but sober and wearing ties, and listening to the crowd around them wonder who would do this. And the police shout for everyone to please get back now, as water ran down from the broken, smoky center of each huge eye. Tyler told me in secret that there's never more than 4 good proposals at a meeting, so your chances of drawing a real proposal and not just a blank are about 4 in 10. There are 25 guys on the assault committee, including Tyler. Everybody gets their homework, lose a fight in public, and each member draws for a proposal. This week, Tyler told them, go out and buy a gun. Tyler gave one guy the telephone book, Yellow Pages, and told him to tear out an advertisement, then pass the book on to the next guy. No 2 guys should go to the same place to buy or shoot. This, Tyler said, and he took a gun out of his coat pocket. This is a gun, and in 2 weeks, you should each of you have a gun about this size to bring to meeting. Better you should pay for it with cash, Tyler said. Next meeting, you'll all trade guns and report the gun you bought as stolen. Nobody asked anything. You don't ask questions is the first rule in Project Mayhem. Tyler handed the gun around. It was so heavy for something so small, as if a giant thing like a mountain or a sun were collapsed and melted down to make this. The committee guys held it by 2 fingers. Everyone wanted to ask if it was loaded, but the second rule of Project Mayhem is you don't ask questions. Maybe it was loaded, maybe not. Maybe we should always assume the worst. A gun, Tyler said, is simple and perfect. You just draw the trigger back. The third rule in Project Mayhem is no excuses. The trigger, Tyler said, frees the hammer, and the hammer strikes the powder. The fourth rule is no lies. The explosion blasts a metal slug off the open end of the shell, and the barrel of the gun focuses the exploding powder and the rocketing slug, Tyler said, like a man out of a cannon, like a missile out of a silo, like your jism in one direction. When Tyler invented Project Mayhem, Tyler said the goal of Project Mayhem had nothing to do with other people. Tyler didn't care if other people got hurt or not. The goal was to teach each man in the project that he had the power to control history. We, each of us, can take control of the world. It was at Fight Club that Tyler invented Project Mayhem. I tagged a first-timer one night at Fight Club. That Saturday night, a young guy with an angel's face came to his first Fight Club, and I tagged him for a fight. That's the rule. If it's your first night in Fight Club, you have to fight. I knew that, so I tagged him because the insomnia was on again, and I was in a mood to destroy something beautiful. Since most of my face never gets a chance to heal, I've got nothing to lose in the looks department. My boss at work, he asked me what I was doing about the hole through my cheek that never heals.
Hello.
When I drink coffee, I told him, I put 2 fingers over the hole so it won't leak. There's a sleeper hole that gives somebody just enough air to stay awake. And that night at Fight Club, I hit our first timer and hammered that beautiful Mr. Angel face. First with the bony knuckles of my fist like a pounding molar, and then the knotted tight butt of my fist after my knuckles were raw from his teeth stuck through his lips. Then the kid fell through my arms in a heap. Tyler told me later that he'd never seen me destroy something so completely. That night, Tyler knew he had to take Fight Club up a notch or shut it down. Tyler said, sitting at breakfast the next morning, "You look like a maniac, Psycho Boy. Where did you go?" I said I felt like crap and not relaxed at all. I didn't get any kind of a buzz. Maybe I developed a Jones. You can build up a tolerance to fighting, and maybe I needed to move on to something bigger. It was that morning Tyler invented Project Mayhem. Tyler asked what I was really fighting. What Tyler says about being the crap and the slaves of history, that's how I felt. I wanted to destroy everything beautiful I'd never have. Burn the Amazon rainforests. Pump chlorofluorocarbons straight up to gobble the ozone. Open the dump valves on supertankers and uncap offshore oil wells. I wanted to kill all the fish I couldn't afford to eat and smother the French beaches I'd never see. I wanted the whole world to hit bottom. Pounding that kid, I really wanted to put a bullet between the eyes of every endangered panda that wouldn't screw to save its species, and every whale or dolphin that gave up and ran itself aground. Don't think of this as extinction. Think of this as downsizing. For thousands of years, human beings had screwed up and trashed and crapped on this planet, and now history expected me to clean up after everyone. I have to wash out and flatten my soup cans and account for every drop of used motor oil. And I have to foot the bill for nuclear waste and buried gasoline tanks and land-filled toxic sludge dumped a generation before I was born. I held the face of Mr. Angel like a baby or a football in the crook of my arm and bashed him with my knuckles. Bashed him until his teeth broke through his lips. Bashed him with my elbow after that until he fell through my arms into a heap at my feet. Until the skin was pounded thin across his cheekbones and turned black. I wanted to breathe smoke. Birds and deer are a silly luxury and all the fish should be floating. I wanted to burn the Louvre. I'd do the Elgin marbles with a sledgehammer and wipe my ass with a Mona Lisa. This is my world now. This is my world, and those ancient people are dead. It was at breakfast that morning that Tyler invented Project Mayhem. We wanted to blast the world free of history. We were eating breakfast in the house on Paper Street, and Tyler said, "Picture yourself planting radishes and seed potatoes on the 15th green of a forgotten golf course. You'll hunt elk through the damp canyon forests around the ruins of Rockefeller Center and dig clams next to the skeleton of the Space Needle leaning at a 45-degree angle. We'll paint the skyscrapers with huge totem faces and goblin tikis, and every evening what's left of mankind will retreat to empty zoos and lock itself in cages as protection against bears and big cats and wolves that pace and watch us from outside the cage bars at night." The cycling and speed limits are bullshit, Tyler said. They're like someone who quit smoking on his deathbed. It's Project Mayhem that's going to save the world. A cultural ice age. A prematurely induced dark age. Project Mayhem will force humanity to go dormant or into remission long enough for the Earth to recover. You justify anarchy, Tyler says. You figure it out. Like Fight Club does with clerks and box boys, Project Mayhem will break up civilization so we can make something better out of the world. Imagine, Tyler said, stalking elk past department store windows and stinking racks of beautiful rotting dresses and tuxedos on hangers. You'll wear leather clothes that will last you the rest of your life. And you'll climb the wrist-thick kudzu vines that wrap the Sears Tower. Jack and the Beanstalk. You'll climb up through the dripping forest canopy, and the air will be so clean, you'll see tiny figures pounding corn and laying strips of venison to dry in the empty carpool lane of an abandoned superhighway, stretching 8 lanes wide and August hot for 1,000 miles. This was the goal of Project Mayhem, Tyler said. The complete and right-away destruction of civilization. What comes next in Project Mayhem, nobody except Tyler knows. The second rule is, you don't ask questions. Don't get any bullets, Tyler told the assault committee. And just so you don't worry about it, yes, you're gonna have to kill someone. Arson, assault, mischief, and misinformation. No questions, no excuses, and no lies. The fifth rule about Project Mayhem is you have to trust Tyler.
Bruh.
My boss brings another sheet of paper to my desk and sets it at my elbow. I don't even wear a tie anymore. My boss is wearing his blue tie, so it must be a Thursday. The door to my boss's office is always closed now, and we haven't traded more than 2 words any day since he found the Fight Club rules in the coffee machine, and I may be implied I might gut him with a shotgun blast. Just me, clowning around again. Or I might call the compliance people at the Department of Transportation. There's a front seat mounting bracket that never passed collision testing before it went into production. If you know where to look, there are bodies buried everywhere.
Sure.
Morning, I say. He says, morning. Set at my elbows is another, for my eyes only, important secret document Tyler wanted me to type up and copy. A week ago, Tyler was pacing out the dimensions of the basement of the rented house on Paper Street. It's 65 shoe lengths front to back and 40 shoe lengths side to side. Tyler was thinking out loud. Tyler asked me, what is 6 times 7? 42. And 42 times 3? 126. Tyler gave me a handwritten list of notes and said to type it and make 72 copies. Why that many? Because, Tyler said, that's how many guys can sleep in the basement if we put them in triple-decker Army surplus bunk beds. I asked, what about their stuff? Tyler said, they won't bring anything more than what's on the list, and it should all fit under a mattress. The list my boss finds in the copy machine counter still set for 72 copies, the list says, bringing the required items does not guarantee admission to training, but no applicant will be considered unless he arrives equipped with the following items and exactly $500 cash for personal burial money. It costs at least $300 to cremate an indigent corpse, Tyler told me, and the price was going up. Anyone who dies without at least this much money, their body goes to an autopsy class. This money must always be carried in the student's shoe, so if the student is ever killed, his death will not be a burden on Project Mayhem. In addition, the applicant has to arrive with the following: 2 black shirts, 2 black pair of trousers, 1 pair of heavy black shoes, 2 pair of black socks, and 2 pair of plain underwear, 1 heavy black coat. This includes the clothes the applicant has on his back. 1 white towel, 1 Army surplus cot mattress, 1 white plastic mixing bowl. At my desk, with my boss still standing there, I pick up the original list and tell him, thanks. My boss goes into his office, and I set to work playing solitaire on my computer. After work, I give Tyler the copies, and days go by. I go to work. I come home. I go to work. I come home, and there's a guy standing on our front porch. The guy's at the front door with his second black shirt and pants and a brown paper sack, and he's got the last 3 items, a white towel, an Army surplus mattress, and a plastic bowl set on the porch railing. From an upstairs window, Tyler and I peek out at the guy, and Tyler tells me to send the guy away. He's too young, Tyler says. The guy on the porch is Mr. Angelface, whom I tried to destroy the night Tyler invented Project Mayhem. Even with his 2 black eyes and blonde crew cut, you see his tough, pretty scowl without wrinkles or scars. Put him in a dress and make him smile, and he'd be a woman. Mr. Angel just stands his toes against the front door, just looks straight ahead into the splintering wood with his hands at his sides, wearing black shoes, black shirt, black pair of trousers. Get rid of him, Tyler tells me. He's too young. I ask, how young is too young? It doesn't matter, Tyler says. If the applicant is young, we tell him he's too young. If he's fat, he's too fat. If he's old,
Może się
he's too
tłuszcza,
old.
a nie tylko...
Thin, he's too
Siema,
thin. White,
siema,
he's too
siema.
white. Black, he's too
Konsolko,
black.
siema.
This is how
Słuchajcie,
Buddhist temples
przepraszam,
have
że
tested
robiłem coś
applicants
właśnie.
going back for
Słuchajcie,
bazillion years,
dzisiaj
Tyler
kończymy
says.
Fight Club,
You tell
a
the
jutro
applicant to go
lecimy z kolejnym
away,
streamem,
and if his
recenzujemy
resolve is so
albumy.
strong that he waits at the
Dokładnie.
entrance without
I
food or
będzie,
shelter or
już
encouragement for
zapowiadam,
3 days,
kupiłem już tak,
then and only then can he
zapowiadam
enter
let's
and begin the
playe
training.
z Hollow Knight,
So I
Apex
tell
Legends,
Mr. Angel he's too young,
Fortnite,
but at lunchtime he's still there.
co tam jeszcze?
After lunch, I go out and beat
Minecraft.
Mr. Angel with a
Jest
broom and
będzie
kick the
grubo
guy's
już.
sack out into the street. From
Ale tak,
upstairs,
już
Tyler
jestem.
watches me stickball the broom upside the kid's ear, the kid just
Jak tam
standing there.
byłem?
Then I kick his stuff into the gutter and scream, "Go away!" I'm screaming, "Haven't you heard? You're too young. You'll never make it," I scream. "Come back in a couple years and apply again. Just go. Just get off my porch." The next day, the guy is still there, and Tyler goes out to go, "I'm sorry." Tyler says he's sorry he told the guy about training, but the guy is really too young. Would he please just go?
Dobra.
Good cop, bad cop. I scream at the poor guy again. Then 6 hours later, Tyler goes out and says he's sorry, but no, the guy has to leave. Tyler says he's going to call the police if the guy won't leave. And the guy stays.
Dobra.
And his clothes are still in the gutter. The wind takes the torn paper sack away. And the guy stays. On the third day, another applicant is at the front door. Mr. Angel is still there, and Tyler goes down and just tells Mr. Angel, "Come in. Get your stuff out of the street and come in." To the new guy, Tyler says he's sorry, but there's been a mistake. The new guy is too old to train here, and would he please leave? I go to work every day. I come home, and every day there's 1 or 2 guys waiting on the front porch. These new guys don't make eye contact. I shut the door and leave them on the porch. This happens every day for a while, and sometimes the applicants will leave, but most times the applicants stick it out until the third day, until most of the 72 bunk beds Tyler and I bought and set up in the basement are full. One day, Tyler gives me $500 in cash and tells me to keep it in my shoe all the time. My personal burial money. This is another old Buddhist monastery thing. I come home from work now, and the house is filled with strangers that Tyler has accepted, all of them working. The whole first floor turns into a kitchen and a soap factory. The bathroom is never empty. Teams of men disappear for a few days and come home with red rubber bags of thin, watery fat. One night, Tyler comes upstairs to find me hiding in my room and says, "Don't bother them. They all know what to do. It's part of Project Mayhem. No one guy understands the whole plan, but each guy is trained to do one simple task perfectly. The rule in Project Mayhem is you have to trust Tyler." Then, Tyler's gone. Teams of Project Mayhem guys render fat all day. I'm not sleeping. All night, I hear other teams mix the lye and cut the bars and bake the bars of soap on cookie sheets, then wrap each bar in tissue and seal it with the Paper Street Soap Company label. Everyone except me seems to know what to do, and Tyler is never home. I hug the walls, being a mouse trapped in this clockwork of silent men with the energy of trained monkeys, cooking and working and sleeping in teams. Pull a lever, push a button. A team of space monkeys cooks meals all day, and all day, teams of space monkeys are eating out of the plastic bowls they brought with them. One morning, I'm leaving for work, and Big Bob's on the front porch wearing black shoes and a black shirt and pants. I ask, "Has he seen Tyler lately? Did Tyler send him here?" "The first rule about Project Mayhem," Big Bob says, with his heels together and his back ramrod straight, "is you don't ask questions about Project Mayhem." So what brainless little honor has Tyler assigned him, I ask? There are guys whose job is to just boil rice all day or wash out eating bowls or clean the crapper. All day. Has Tyler promised Big Bob enlightenment if he spends 16 hours a day wrapping bars of soap? Big Bob doesn't say anything. I go to work. I come home, and Big Bob's still on the porch. I don't sleep all night, and the next morning, Big Bob's out tending the garden. Before I leave for work, I ask Big Bob who let him in. Who assigned him this task? Did he see Tyler? Was Tyler here last night? Big Bob says, "The first rule in Project Mayhem is you don't talk." I cut him off. I say, yeah. And while I'm at work, teams of space monkeys dig up the muddy lawn around the house and cut the dirt with Epsom salts to lower the acidity,
Epstein
and
Salt?
spade in loads of free steer
Kurwa,
manure from the
nie wtedy wiedzieli.
stockyards and bags of hair clippings from barbershops to ward off moles and mice and boost the protein in the soil. At any time of the night, space monkeys from some slaughterhouse come home with bags of blood meal to boost the iron in the soil and bone meal to boost the phosphorus. Teams of space monkeys plant basil and thyme and lettuce and starts of witch hazel and eucalyptus and mock orange and mint in a kaleidoscope knot pattern. A rose window in every shade of green. And other teams go out at night and kill the slugs and snails by candlelight. Another team of space monkeys picks only the most perfect leaves and juniper berries to boil for a natural dye. Comfrey because it's a natural disinfectant. Violet leaves because they cure headaches, and sweet woodruff because it gives soap a cut grass smell. In the kitchen are bottles of 80 proof vodka to make the translucent rose geranium and brown sugar soap and the patchouli soap. And I steal a bottle of vodka and spend my personal burial money on cigarettes. Marla shows up. We talk about the plants. Marla and I walk on raked gravel paths through the kaleidoscope green patterns of the garden, drinking and smoking. We talk about her breasts. We talk about everything except Tyler Durden. And one day it's in the newspaper how a team of men wearing black had stormed through a better neighborhood and a luxury car dealership, slamming baseball bats against the front bumpers of cars so the airbags inside would explode in a powdery mess with their car alarms screaming.
Nalepa będzie jutro.
At the Paper Street Soap Company, other teams pick the petals from roses or anemones and lavender and pack the flowers into boxes with a cake of pure tallow that will absorb their scent for making soap with a flower smell. Marla tells me about the plants. The rose, Marla tells me, is a natural astringent. Some of the plants have obituary names: iris, basil, rue, rosemary, and verbena. Some, like meadowsweet and cowslips, sweet flag and spikenard, are like the names of Shakespeare fairies.
Shakespeare Fairies.
Deer tongue with its sweet vanilla smell. Witch hazel, another natural astringent. Orris root, the wild Spanish iris. Every night, Marla and I walk in the garden until I'm sure that Tyler's not coming home that night. Right behind us is always a space monkey trailing us to pick up the twist of balm or rue or mint Marla crushes under my nose. A dropped cigarette butt. The space monkey rakes the path behind him to erase our ever being there. And one night, in an uptown square park, another group of men poured gasoline around every tree and from tree to tree and set a perfect little forest fire. It was in the newspaper how townhouse windows across the street from the fire melted and parked cars farted and settled on melted flat tires. Tyler's rented house on Paper Street is a living thing, wet on the inside from so many people sweating and breathing. So many people are moving inside. The house moves. Another night that Tyler didn't come home, someone was drilling bank machines and pay telephones, and then screwing loop fittings into the drilled holes and using a grease gun to pump the bank machines and pay telephones full of axle grease or vanilla pudding. And Tyler was never at home. But after a month, a few of the space monkeys had Tyler's kiss burned into the back of their hand. Then those space monkeys were gone too, and new ones were on the front porch to replace them. And every day the teams of men came and went in different cars. You never saw the same car twice. One evening, I hear Marla on the front porch telling a space monkey, "I'm here to see Tyler. Tyler Durden, he lives here. I'm his friend." The space monkey says, "I'm sorry, but you're too..." And he pauses. "You're too young to train here." Marla says, "Get screwed." "Besides," the space monkey says, "you haven't brought the required items. 2 black shirts, 2 pair of black pants." Marla screams, "Tyler!" 1 pair of heavy black shoes. "Tyler!" 2 pair of black socks and 2 pair of plain underwear. "Tyler!" And I hear the front door slam shut. Marla doesn't wait the 3 days. Most days after work, I come home and make a peanut butter sandwich. When I come home, one space monkey is reading to the assembled space monkeys who sit covering the whole first floor. "You are not a beautiful and unique snowflake. You are the same decaying organic matter as everyone else, and we are all part of the same compost pile." The space monkey continues. "Our culture has made us all the same. No one is truly white or black or rich anymore. We all want the same. Individually, we are nothing. The reader stops when I walk in to make my sandwich, and all the space monkeys sit silent as if I were alone. I say, don't bother, I've already read it. I typed it. Even my boss has probably read it. We're all just a big bunch of crap, I say. Go ahead, play your little game, don't mind me. The space monkeys wait in quiet while I make my sandwich and take another bottle of vodka and go up the stairs. Behind me, I hear, "You are not a beautiful and unique snowflake. I am Joe's broken heart because Tyler's dumped me. Because my father dumped me." Oh, I could go on and on. Some nights after work,
Yes,
I
sir.
go to a different fight club in the basement of a bar or garage, and I ask if
Yes,
anybody's
sir.
seen Tyler Durden. In every new fight club, someone I've never met is standing under the one light in the center of the darkness, surrounded by men, and reading Tyler's words. The first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. When the fights get started, I take the club leader aside and ask if he's seen Tyler. I live with Tyler, I say, and he hasn't been home for a while. The guy's eyes get big, and he asks, do I really know Tyler Durden? This happens in most of the new fight clubs. Yes, I say, I'm best buddies with Tyler. Then everybody all of a sudden wants to shake my hand. These new guys stare at the butthole in my cheek and the black skin on my face, yellow and green around the edges, and they call me sir. No, sir. Not hardly, sir. Nobody they know's ever met Tyler Durden. Friends of friends met Tyler Durden, and they founded this chapter of Fight Club, sir.
Yeah.
Then they wink at me. Nobody they know has ever seen Tyler Durden, sir. Is it true, everybody asks? Is Tyler Durden building an army? That's the word. Does Tyler Durden only sleep 1 hour a night? Rumor has it that Tyler's on the road starting fight clubs all over the country. What's next? Everybody wants to know. The meetings for Project Mayhem have moved to bigger basements because each committee, arson, assault, mischief, and misinformation, gets bigger as more guys graduate out of Fight Club. Each committee has a leader, and even the leaders don't know where Tyler's at. Tyler calls them every week on the phone. Everybody on Project Mayhem wants to know what's next. Where are we going? What is there to look forward to? On Paper Street, Marla and I walk to the garden at night with our bare feet, every step brushing up the smell of sage and lemon verbena and rose geranium. Black shirts and black pants hunch around us with candles, lifting plant leaves to kill a snail or slug. Marla asks, what's going on here? Tufts of hair surface beside the dirt clods, hair and shit, bone meal and blood meal. The plants are growing faster than the space monkeys can cut them back. Marla asks, what are you going to do? What's the word? In the dirt is a shining spot of gold, and I kneel down to see. What's going to happen next? I don't know, I tell Marla. It looks like we've both been dumped. In the corner of my eye, the space monkeys pace around in black, each one hunched over his candle. The little spot of gold in the dirt is a molar with a gold filling. Next to it surface 2 more molars with silver amalgam fillings. It's a jawbone. I say, no, I can't say what's going to happen next. And I push the 1, 2, 3 molars into the dirt and hair and shit and bone and blood where Marla won't see. This Friday night, I fall asleep at my desk at work. When I wake up with my face and my crossed arms on my desktop, the telephone is ringing and everyone else is gone. The telephone was ringing in my dream, or if my dream is slopping over into reality. I answer the phone. Compliance and liability. That's my department, compliance and liability. The sun is going down, and piled up storm clouds the size of Wyoming and Japan are headed our way. It's not like I have a window at work. All the outside walls are floor-to-ceiling glass. Everything where I work is floor-to-ceiling glass. Everything is vertical blinds. Everything is industrial, low-pile gray carpet spotted with little tombstone monuments where the PCs plug into the network. Everything is a maze of cubicles boxed in with fences of upholstered plywood. A vacuum cleaner hums somewhere. My boss is gone on vacation. He sent me an email and then disappeared. I'm to prepare for a formal review in 2 weeks. Reserve a conference room, get all my ducks in a row, update my resume, that sort of thing. They're building a case against me. I am Joe's complete lack of surprise. I've been behaving miserably. I pick up the phone and it's Tyler, and he says, "Go outside. There's some guys waiting for you in the parking
Dobra.
lot." I ask, "Who are
Nie
they?"
w tym.
"They're all waiting," Tyler says. I smell gasoline on my hands. Tyler goes, "Hit the road. They have a car outside. They have a Cadillac." I'm still asleep. Here, I'm not sure if Tyler is my dream or if I am Tyler's dream. I sniff the gasoline on my hands. There's nobody else around, and I get up and walk out to the parking lot. A guy in Fight Club works on cars, so he's parked at the curb in somebody's black Corniche, and all I can do is look at it, all black and gold, this huge cigarette case ready to drive me somewhere. This mechanic guy who gets out of the car tells me not to worry. He switched the plates with another car in the long-term parking lot at the airport. Our Fight Club mechanic says he can start anything. 2 wires twist out of the steering column. Touch the wires to each other, you complete the circuit to the starter solenoid, you got a car to joyride. Either that, or you could hack the key code through a dealership. 3 space monkeys are sitting in the back seat wearing their black shirts and black pants. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I ask, "So where's Tyler?" The Fight Club mechanic guy is holding the Cadillac open chauffeur style for me. The mechanic is tall and all bones, with shoulders that remind you of a telephone pole crossbar. I ask, "Are we going to see Tyler?" Waiting for me in the middle of the front seat is a birthday cake with candles ready to be lit. I get in. We start driving. Even a week after Fight Club, you've got no problem driving inside the speed limit. Maybe you've been passing black shit, internal injuries for 2 days, but you are so cool. Other cars drive around you. Cars tailgate. You get the finger from other drivers. Total strangers hate you. It's absolutely nothing personal. After Fight Club, you're so relaxed you just cannot care. You don't even turn the radio on. Maybe your ribs stab along a hairline fracture every time you take a breath. Cars behind you blink their lights. The sun is going down, orange and gold. The mechanic is there, driving. The birthday cake is on the seat between us. It's one scary fuck to see guys like our mechanic at Fight Club. Skinny guys, they never go limp. They fight until they're burger. White guys like skeletons dipped in yellow wax with tattoos. Black men like dried meat. These guys usually hang together, the way you can picture them at Narcotics Anonymous. They never say stop. It's like they're all energy, shaking so fast they blur around the edges. These guys in recovery from something. As if the only choice they have left is how they're gonna die, and they want to die in a fight. They have to fight each other, these guys. Nobody else will tag them for a fight, and they can't tag anybody except another twitching skinny, all bones and rush, since nobody else will register to fight them. Guys watching don't even yell when guys like our mechanic go at each other. All you hear is the fighters breathing through their teeth, hands slapping for a hold, the whistle and impact when fists hammer and hammer on thin, hollow ribs, point blank in a clinch. You see tendons and muscles and veins under the skin of these guys jump. Their skin shines, sweating, corded and wet under the one light. 10, 15 minutes disappear. Their smell, they sweat, and these guys smell. It reminds you of fried chicken. 20 minutes of Fight Club will go by. Finally, one guy will go down. After a fight, 2 drug recovery guys will hang together for the rest of the night, wasted and smiling from fighting so hard. Since Fight Club, this mechanic guy is always hanging around the house on Paper Street. Wants me to hear the song he wrote. Wants me to see the birdhouse he built. The guy showed me a picture of some girl and asked me if she was pretty enough to marry. Sitting in the front seat of the Corniche, the guy says, "Did you see this cake I made for you? I made this. It's not my birthday. Some oil was getting by the rings," the mechanic guy says, "but I changed the oil and the air filter. I checked the valve lash and the timing. It's supposed to rain tonight, so I changed the blades." I ask, "What's Tyler been planning?" The mechanic opens the ashtray and pushes the cigarette lighter in. He says, "Is this a test? Are you testing us?" "Where's Tyler?" "The first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club," the mechanic says. "And the last rule about Project Mayhem is you don't ask questions." "So what can he tell me?" He says, What you have to understand is your father was your model for God. Behind us, my job and my office are smaller, gone. I sniff the gasoline on my hands. The mechanic says, if you're male and you're Christian and living in America, your father is your model for God. And if you never know your father, if your father bails out or dies or is never at home, what do you believe about God? This is all Tyler Durden dogma, scrawled on bits of paper while I was asleep and given me to type and photocopy at work. I've read it all. Even my boss has probably read it all. What you end up doing, the mechanic says, is you spend your life searching for a father and God. What you have to consider, he says, is the possibility that God doesn't like you. Could be God hates us. This is not the worst thing that can happen. How Tyler saw it was that getting God's attention for being bad was better than getting no attention at all. Maybe because God's hate is better than his indifference. If you could be either God's worst enemy or nothing, which would you choose? We are God's middle children, according to Tyler Durden, with no special place in history and no special attention. Unless we get God's attention, we have no hope of damnation or redemption. Which is worse, hell or nothing? Only if we're caught and punished can we be saved. Burn the Louvre, the mechanic says, and wipe your ass with the Mona Lisa. This way, at least, God would know our names. The lower you fall, the higher you'll fly. The farther you run, the more God wants you back. If the prodigal son had never left home, the mechanic says, the fatted calf would still be alive. It's not enough to be numbered with the grains of sand on the beach and the stars in the sky. The mechanic merges the black Corniche onto the old bypass highway with no passing lane. And already a line of trucks strings together behind us, going the legal speed limit. The Corniche fills up with the headlights behind us, and there we are, talking, reflected in the inside of the windshield, driving inside the speed limit, as fast as the law allows. A law is a law, Tyler would say. Driving too fast was the same as setting a fire, was the same as planting a bomb, was the same as shooting a man. A criminal is a criminal is a criminal. Last week, we could have filled another 4 fight clubs, the mechanic says. Maybe Big Bob can take over running the next chapter if we find a bar. So next week, he'll go through the rules with Big Bob and give him a fight club of his own. From now on, when a leader starts Fight Club, when everyone is standing around the light in the center of the basement waiting, the leader should walk around and around the outside edge of the crowd in the dark. I ask, who made up the new rules? Is it Tyler? The mechanic smiles and says, you know who makes up the rules. The new rule is that nobody should be the center of Fight Club, he says. Nobody's the center of Fight Club except the 2 men fighting. The leader's voice will yell, walking slowly around the crowd out in the darkness. The men in the crowd will stare at other men across the empty center of the room. This is how it will be in all the fight clubs. Finding a bar or a garage to host a new fight club isn't tough. The first bar, the one where the original fight club still meets, they make their month's rent in just 1 fight club Saturday night. According to the mechanic, another new fight club rule is that Fight Club will always be free. It will never cost to get in. The mechanic yells out the driver's window into the oncoming traffic and the night wind pouring down the side of the car. We want you, not your money. The mechanic yells out the window. As long as you're at Fight Club, you're not how much money you've got in the bank. You're not your job. You're not your family. And you're not who you tell yourself. The mechanic yells into the wind. You're not your name. A space monkey in the back seat picks it up. You're not your problems. The mechanic yells, you're not your problems. A space monkey shouts, you're not your age. The mechanic yells, you're not your age. Here, the mechanic swerves us into the oncoming lane, filling the car with headlights through the windshield, cool as ducking jabs. 1 car and then another comes at us head-on, screaming its horn, and the mechanic swerves just enough to miss each one. Headlights come at us bigger and bigger, horns screaming, and the mechanic cranes forward into the glare and noise and screams, you are not your hopes. No one takes up the yell. This time, the car coming head-on swerves in time to save us. Another car comes on. Headlights blinking high, low, horn blaring, and the mechanic screams, "You will not be saved!" The mechanic doesn't swerve, but the head-on car swerves. Another car, and the mechanic screams, "We are all going to die someday!" This time, the oncoming car swerves, but the mechanic swerves back into its path. The car swerves, and the mechanic matches it, head-on again. You melt and swell at that moment. For that moment, nothing matters. Look up at the stars, and you're gone. Not your luggage,
Dobra.
nothing matters. Not your bad breath. The windows are dark outside, and the horns are blaring around you. The headlights are flashing high and low and high in your face, and you will never have to go to work again. You will never have to get another haircut. Quick, the mechanic says. The car swerves again, and the mechanic swerves back into its path. What, he says, what will you wish you'd done before you died? With the oncoming car screaming its horn and the mechanic so cool he even looks away to look at me beside him in the front seat, and he says, 10 seconds to impact. 9, in 8, 7, in 6. My job, I say. I wish I'd quit my job. The scream goes by as the car swerves and the mechanic doesn't swerve to hit it.